and we grew them from about $1 million a year to about 10 million.
Wow.
Easy 10x. And it was, I say easy, but we had to look at what was going on in their guts of their company, and we had to change the fundamental organization of how they were operating from the bottom up. That was a little painful. The benefit on the other end was so great, and it was incredible. So
All right, hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. And so today we're going to talk about, my favorite topic, guys, which is business acquisition, the mindset around that. So I have it seems like we talk all the time, Michael, but and so I have Michael Johnson. Michael is an author. He's the master NLP practitioner, a business mentor, and an investor. All right. And he works with businesses to help them attain the necessary solutions to save them money, improve their revenue, and create a more meaningful impact for their team, their customers, and themselves. Michael has helped businesses generate 8 figures in revenue, creating winning systems, strategies for owners and their teams. With over 30 years of teaching, coaching, mentoring experience, Michael brings a unique, innovative approach to taking businesses to the next level using the power of business choreography. Michael, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. We always have great conversations.
Yeah.
Every time we've met up, and so I'm excited to see where this one goes today.
Yeah. So, and it's we just found out that we started our business careers in the same MLM.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And I think you were a little younger than me at the time. I got in about 23, and I think you said 20.
20,
And
yeah.
my dance career.
That's right. Talk about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Was the choreography part. It just came back to me where that came from.
Well, I am a former professional ballroom dancer. I actually started dancing when I was 5. My mother had great vision for me, and she kind of allowed me to follow that path. And so I started ballroom dance way back then. And by the time I was 13, I was teaching. She had a studio, so she was having me teach the beginning classes. And by the time I got to college, I got a scholarship to go to college for ballroom dance.
Wow.
How crazy is that? And then when I graduated, I went straight into working with the world champions at their studio, and then danced pro on the circuit for about 10 years. After that, I became a judge and owned a competitive dance studio. That was kind of along the way.
That's a whole other, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did the whole ballroom career. And as I was approaching that top end where I was certifying people and doing exams and doing judging, and I kind of looked at it and went, gosh, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I didn't really want to just be there. Well, during that time, I had opened a number of businesses, studied NLP, had a personal development company. And so I just started to lean in a little bit more as I kind of waned out of that other part of my life and started building up this part of my life. And it's great fun. So we kind of, after finding a mentor that kind of bonked us on the head and said, hey, don't hide from your past, like lean in, like that's some cool stuff that you did. Let's meld it all together and bring all of that experience from your professional. We were professional athletes. I don't know that a lot of people look at ballroom dancers as that, but it was intense. I mean, with the amount of wear and tear on our bodies was incredible. I mean, we were high-end athletes at having to dance at a high level on a regular basis. And then we had to teach and dance all day to be able to earn money, because the competitive world isn't, it's not like tennis or golf where they earn millions of dollars. We had to earn our money through teaching and through running business. So
I never thought of that. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a fun time. And
I knew you're athletic. I mean, I watched, I didn't really pay attention to the guys, quite honestly, but You know, I watch, and these women are, and they're doing it in heels. Like at least we can do it in flat shoes. They're doing it backward. Ginger
It's
Rogers used to
amazing.
say, "I did everything Fred Astaire did, except for I did it backwards and in heels."
And in high heels,
Yeah,
yeah. So true. It is so true. I don't know how they do it. Those heels are beastly. And they ruin the women's feet so bad. Oh, it's rough.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And I watch. I always get to see. All right, so I'm not going to go there, but it's fascinating. So that's another, because I wish I could dance. I remember seeing that movie with And guys, we're going to talk about business. The what's that movie with Antonio Banderas where he plays?
He does that tango. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, and well, no, not the one, not the Zorro one, the one where he plays the
Oh,
dance teacher, where these high school kids, that one, and
yeah,
that, so I was like, oh, I wish I could. I almost want to take it on the on the side, 'cause I remember going to Venezuela and everybody was merengue and salsa, and you need lessons, like you just don't pick
sure.
up the salsa,
No,
and
no, no.
you
You
know,
definitely do. But everybody should, because it's a great activity. It's a great thing to do with someone you love. And it's very good physically. It's really great for your mind. So even just to play at it and have it as a cool thing in your pocket, is everybody should take lessons. It used to be a normal thing back in the early 1920s when ballroom kind of took off. It was normal that everybody would know how to dance to go out to events, and they used to have dance floors at every event and bands, and so I don't know, interesting times those. It's certainly something that's great for your physical health. There's
yeah,
no doubt.
yeah, that's cool. So let's talk about so fast forward, you're in business. I'd love to see what you does any I found with me with like basketball, the discipline of training to try to get good at something carries over into business.
Sure.
The focus, the goal setting. Talk about that, and then let's talk, how maybe you married the two to as you help people, and tell them a little
Sure.
about what you're doing now.
I love that. It's so true. You notice that people like LeBron James and Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan are billion-dollar net worth individuals. And part of the reason is that not because of their playing days, they did earn a lot of money there, but so did a lot of other athletes earning millions of dollars. They earned their money because they became savvy business owners and investors, and they took their discipline from their sport and they applied that discipline to the thing they did. For example, Kobe Bryant, he took his discipline after he retired and put it into filmmaking and made uh, a Grammy winning short film,
Right.
which is amazing. You guys should look it up. It's incredible. And he put that kind of discipline and attention to detail into that same venue, or into that different venue that he had from basketball. And I think that's a huge thing for us. My business partner is also a professional dancer, and we just put a lot of what we learned along the way from not only competing ourselves and having
Mhm.
to go through that process of figuring out how to make it work, but also teaching other champions. I was privileged enough to train champions at every level, whether
Mhm.
they were juniors, little baby dancers, all the
Mhm.
way up to professionals. And during my career of coaching and teaching, I had champions at every single level. And you don't do that on accident. That's
Mhm.
not, there has to be a recipe. There has to be certain things. Now, that doesn't mean everybody can be a champion, because not everybody was willing to do those things.
Yes. Right.
And that's huge, right? And
Yeah.
just like Jordan and Kobe and LeBron are different. They're set apart. It's because they're willing to do things. They're willing to pay the price to become the champion that others aren't willing to do. And that's really a huge piece of it. But what we recognized from our dancing days and what we started to carry over into our business, which is why we call it business choreography,
Mhm.
is that the choreography is important. And if I put championship level choreography, maybe for a pro, if I put that because the pro is winning with it, if I put that on a junior or even an amateur, it's not going to work. and it's not going to work because it's the wrong piece of choreography for the wrong show and for the wrong people in the show. So it,
Mm.
it kind of has like multi levels there. And I think that's important. Who doesn't want to be in the same position? If you're in business, you had to have seen Warren Buffett and his exploits by this point in time in your life. And if you
Right.
haven't, be careful, because you're going to look at it and you go, oh, I want to do what Warren Buffett does. Well, guess what? He's doing what he's doing because he's at the level at which he can do it. You have to go through the phases and you have to go through the process. Now, during that time, the choreography has to be built for you. But here's the kicker: you always need choreography. I once had the world champions in my competitive studio that I used to own.
Hmm.
And I said, "Where are you headed next?" They said, "Oh, we're going out to work with our choreographer." I said, "You're what? You're the 10-time world champions." They said, "Yeah, we're going to go work with our choreographer." I said, "Why?" I said, because he can pull out the things that we're bad at, he can put in the things that we're good at, and he can make sure that it all flows together in a way that we can continue to be the world champions. And I was like, wow, that stuck with me. That really hit me hard, because I think so many people are easily caught up with the gurus these days. There's this guru and that guru, and they're all telling you about things that worked for who? For
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They're telling you about something that worked for them, because if they're doing legitimate marketing, they're not saying you could do this. They're saying, I did this, come and learn it from me. And
Mm.
and that's good. That's what they should do, right? That's
Mhm.
legitimate. They're not telling you that you're going to be able to do something that they don't know. But what we hear is, we hear, you made $1 million doing that 3-day challenge, so I'm going to do that and make $1 million. Maybe not. That might not be the right piece of choreography. And so what we did, again, taking our dancing days and our
Mhm.
competitive days, is we went back and looked at one of the founding principles of dance, is that you work on your basics every day. You go find the core principles of what it is that you're working on, and you rehearse them. I mean, we were crazy. We were working on how to walk across the floor. I remember teaching classes where all we did with a room full of dancers is just walk across the floor. We were just learning how to walk better. It was core, basic fundamentals, because we were crazy. We were trying to dance at
Right.
the highest level.
Right.
Well, if you're trying to be and do business at the highest level, what are your basics? What are your core fundamentals that you should be practicing and studying and working on every day, so that when you get in the trenches of business, you can make the right decisions? And
Right.
that's where we took it and we said, okay, we're going to take what we learned from dance. We're going to bring these core fundamentals. We're going to go search those out in the business world from our experience,
Yeah.
from learning from others. We're going to actually hone in, narrow it down to the core basic fundamental principles. And then we're going to teach those things and share those with everybody else to speed up their process of the journey they're going on, and then help them to choreograph the right piece of business choreography for them as they move through the phases.
That's a
And
fascinating process. What are the let's say a few I call it, you gotta block and tackle, like, you gotta learn it, you gotta master the basics and never get off of them, right?
right,
And
right,
most people wanna go from 0 to 60, but they don't wanna, that's why I always we talked about this on your show. I always say investing is about becoming,
right.
right? And what is step 1 to becoming, right? You gotta and so what are the things that you think people skip over when you talk about mastering the basics, that you could, maybe a few things they could point out? So if they're out there, so in my mind, I'm hearing people that are listening to this that are in business, they got a part-time business. I work talk to a lot of real estate investors that I'm trying to get them to understand they are in business,
Right.
you know, and you need to build the foundation so you don't go backwards, the principles, right?
Right.
And that you got to master, because you go off and you trying to run. I used to meet people when I was growing up, as Dr. J was big, and this guy had no fundamentals. But he tried to take off from the foul line with one hand, and he couldn't do a basic chest pass, but he was
Right.
trying to be
Right.
Dr. J. And I feel like I'm talking too much, but because I want to hear you. But the
No, we can riff on this stuff all day long. I want to talk to you about two different things, two different sets of. I love frameworks,
mhm,
because I feel like as a coach and a teacher, if I can't put it into a framework then and repeat it, make it repeatable, then
Mhm.
it's going to be really hard to learn. But frameworks also help us all to learn. So I'm going to share with you a couple of frameworks. The first one is what I call the choreography triad. And it's something that's a little bit more meta that
Mhm.
each of you have to do in your business. And this choreography triad is simple to remember. It's MEDAEA. So think of a triangle, pretty
Mhm.
simple. And on the first side of the triangle is execute across. You've got to take whatever it is that you're working on and you've got to execute it across the whole thing. And this is something we learn from dance. If I learn to walk, that's great. If I could teach you how to walk in the best possible way, that's amazing. But if I don't teach you how to execute that across the entire thing, the entire dance that you're doing, or across all of your dances that you do, then it goes to waste. So good job. You know how to walk. You now know how to walk with the best of them. But if you don't know how to execute it across all your moves, all your dances, then it's still useless. So
Mm.
you've got to learn to execute across. Then you've got to measure. Now let's say we've got that executed in, but that doesn't mean it's all going to give you the result that you want. So now you have to measure everything. So that's the second side of the triad. So you've
Mhm.
got to execute across, you've got to measure everything that you just executed, right? And
Mhm.
then you've got to define and articulate what it is that you want. Now, it's a triad, a triangle, because you could start on any one of the pieces. Like sometimes when you enter into that triad, you're in the position where you have to define and articulate what it is that you want. And you know, and I know from our Think and Grow Rich studying and our NLP and our mindset stuff, if you don't define and articulate what it is you want, where you're going, then you're just lost at sea. The boat has no lighthouse
Right.
to get to the shore.
Right.
So
Like
you
a
have to
ship without a
define.
rudder. You're
That's
just
it.
you're gonna run into some rocks. I always tell people it's hard to reach a target you don't have.
That's exactly it. And so that's why we put that at the base of the triangle, define and articulate, because at any given time, you as a business owner might be in one of those different spots, but it doesn't matter because you're still going to have to go through the whole triad. And so define and articulate, execute across, and then measure everything. And as you do that over and over again, what it does is it produces the middle. And the middle is profit and efficiency. And that's where we all want to be. But sometimes we skip to profit and efficiency. We're trying to make something efficient, but we haven't done the other parts. We haven't defined it. We haven't executed across our systems to make it actually get implemented. And we haven't checked it and measured it to see if it's working.
Right. That's when
So
the measure gets done,
that's right.
and yeah, yeah.
So I think that's one element, and that's a little bit more of a a meta position or a meta frame that we have
Mhm.
to look at things from. The second thing that we talk about when we talk about learning the basics and learning to get in behind the scenes, and I think you guys will love this, is that there are three major portions of business. Now, there's a lot of pieces of business that go on, so I don't want to oversimplify it, but I think that a lot of businesses leave one of these out, or they think that they can do one of these and not the other. And that's not going to be the case. Now, besides some of the logistics like doing your accounting, which I know so many of you business owners love to do your accounting.
Yeah.
Besides that,
Right, right.
we have to actually figure out our basics for our marketing. We have to figure out our basics for our operations. I'd say I'd say easily this is left out. People are starting to get the idea that marketing is important, but for some reason people have a really hard time running operations. I was the COO of a software company for about 5 or 6 years, and doing the operations for that really opened my eyes to understanding where operations is missing in most people's businesses. And you might say, "Well, Michael, I'm a solopreneur. What do you mean operations? Are you kidding me? There is so much for you to do." So we'll dig into those for a second. And then the third is really mastering your sales. Without sales, you don't have a business. And that's why these three are so important, because without your marketing, you don't have a business. Without your operations, you don't have a business. And without your sales, you don't have a business.
Right.
And so I know that's maybe oversimplified, but we can dig into any one of those three and really dig into what the learning to walk is. See, there are core principles of the marketing, core principles of the sales, and core principles of the operations that you must start with. And if you're just starting off, cool, let's take the core principles and we'll just deal there. If you're more advanced and you've been around the block, maybe you're up here and you've figured out a way to make your business work, but one of those three is suffering. And it's suffering because you found a way to make it work somewhere here in the middle, and then you leaned in, and now you're stuck because you leaned into the one area that worked really well for you, and now you're over here and you need the other two, or you need one more to fill in the blank. That's what kind of leads us to being able to invest in businesses, because we can come in and we can look at it, we can check out the choreography they are running or lack of running, because sometimes it's just haphazard, like they just made it work. And I'm not judging, because all of us that have run any sort of business know that sometimes you just have to make it work. And so there is no choreography. It's just, okay, I got to do this and I'm going to pull that in, or I'm going to
But
do
it
this.
gives you a point of it for analysis. Like if you look at cash flow quadrants from with
Robert
Kiyosaki,
Kiyosaki.
I's invest in good B's,
That's right.
right? Business
That's right.
owners, and you're looking for businesses. And so if what I hear is, all right, so if I look at, I got marketing, operations, and sales, and then I've got those frameworks, you can look at a business and now you know what you're looking for to see if
Right.
it's a good opportunity. Or even with my business, like I tell people, look, your number one investment or your number one asset is you, but your number one investment, your business.
Right. Right.
And so what I'm hearing, you could look at, and I want to go deeper in this three things of blocking, tackling, because if you look at your business, like if somebody has bad cash flow, for example, I was
Right.
talking to a guy yesterday and he's stuck at like 90 grand a year, 70, he can't get above that. And then I just, in talking to him, I said, how many people do you talk to a week about what you're doing? Or one or two? I said, well, all right, well, you're marketing, you need more activity. You're not working enough. You're not marketing enough. You're not attracting enough. You're not telling your story to enough people. Is pricing's too low.
Right.
And I think his operations may work, but break those down, because that's what I
Okay.
think. If you're looking,
Sure.
because I'm anal about that stuff. Every quarter, I'm like, all right, I separate my business into three parts: before, during, and after, right? And so my before unit, I learned this from Dean Jackson, is like a separate business: attract, capture, nurture. So I
Sure.
go deep. What am I doing to attract? How can I capture? How can I have better calls to action? Then, how can I make my during, which is the sales process, more efficient? Can I increase customer value? And then how can I improve my retention? Like, so, and I am really a maniac about
Right.
about getting better at that. Like every quarter, how can I get better? Because it's easy, like, because there are a lot of levers that people can push in their businesses,
Right.
that they could create a lifestyle business or beyond with the stuff they already have. They always want to look for the grass is greener on the other pasture, but you need to figure out your thing. Talk to them
Right.
about that. You got me
Well,
excited now, Mike. You see I'm getting hyped. So,
no, I love this stuff too, and I think in digging into some of these basics, it'll start to be clear. Let's talk about marketing first.
mhm.
Uh, Such an underutilized element of business, and I think a lot of it, I blame it on corporate, because corporate America has they're sort of the juggernaut, right? They move and they do something as corporate America. They do it in mutual funds, but they also do it in how they run their companies. And so then the medium-sized businesses are all trying to be like the corporate America, and they're looking at it going, oh, we should do that too. And then the small businesses look at the medium-sized business and they go, oh, they're doing that, so we should do it too. And it's so not true across the
Right,
span, right?
right,
But what corporate America did was they split out their advertising, they split out and had a marketing department, they split out and had a sales department, they split out and had their operations department, right? So they've got all of these splits. And even corporate America now, in today's modern world, they're starting to change. They're starting to see the error of their ways, and they're missing that execute across portion that we
yeah,
talked about in the
yeah,
triad. But
yeah,
when we talk about marketing, it used to be split out. And what a lot of people are realizing is that the marketing has to be succinct through everything that you do. And so what we talk about as core fundamentals, easy acronym VCVO. So you guys can all remember that VCVO. It's easy. It rolls off the tongue. It's easy to say VCVO. And what you always have to do, regardless of what marketing you're creating, because you're going to create a lot of different marketing paths inside your business, you're going to create what we call a VCVO line. And that VCVO line says, I've got to pick my noise vehicle for this piece of marketing that I'm doing.
Mhm. Mhm.
I've got to pick my noise campaign, and people mess that up all the time. They think, "Oh, I picked Facebook, so I'm making noise," and I'm like, "No, you're not." Barnum of Barnum and Bailey, the big
Yep.
Barnum, he bought an elephant and shipped it to the United States, and then told everybody about it, and had thousands of people when that elephant arrived at the docks. He had thousands of people there because they wanted to see an elephant. Was he selling elephants? No. What was he selling? Did any of them know? Not until the elephant got there. But then what happened? The buzz, the talk, everything around it. He knew. He was a master of creating noise.
Mm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that is the incredible part. And there have been some incredible masters of creating noise. And so every marketing campaign, every marketing piece of work for something you're promoting, something you're selling, has to have noise, but it also has to have at least a noise vehicle, if not multiple noise vehicles. Do you remember that old movie, Back to the Future? Stupid old movie, right?
Right.
Michael J. Fox. And when they first went back in time, they ended up in this little town, and I have this memory of a guy in a convertible car with a megaphone driving around the town square going, vote for me for mayor,
Right.
vote for me for mayor, right? And so he's driving around. Well, what is that? Well, he had a message which was vote for me for mayor and all the reasons why. And his vehicle was the convertible that he was standing in the back of, yelling to everybody, vote for me for mayor, right?
Hmm.
So when you think about it, if your thing that you're promoting, selling, doing in your business, whether it's a PR campaign or whether it's an actual product launch, it has to have a noise vehicle and it has to have noise. Most people in their business, and I'm looking at all of you watching this or listening to this, you probably suck at the noise because that's probably not what you got into this game for. You got in for the thing you're selling and for the knowledge and expertise that you have and for delivering the product or service, but you probably aren't very good at the noise. So you probably need some work there. So we said VCVO, and
Right.
the next V is your sales vehicle. Notice I said your sales vehicle. You
Okay.
can sometimes do that one to one, or you can do it one to many. So you can go one to many over here. And either way, you've got to pick your sales vehicle. If you're new in business, you should keep it very simple. Use your freaking phone. I know people hate to talk on the phone, right? Keep it simple. That's an easy sales vehicle. The phone is the actual vehicle. But sometimes, as you get more advanced, you start to create a funnel with multiple pages and upsells. Sometimes you create something even more intricate, like you have a sales team with 20 people in a room that are calling up and running a script. That's a lot more complicated than you calling on the phone. So you have to build a sales vehicle that's appropriate for you and your business. And then lastly, you have to have an offer. Now, I went in the way, I just talked about it in the way that the customer journey experiences it. When
Right.
we build it, you should build it from this direction. You have to have an offer. We are no longer in the era where you can build something and even take a remote chance that it could be a commodity. Because as soon as you build something that could possibly be a commodity, bless their hearts, the Chinese manufacturers will copy you and your item will go down to 0 cents selling to millions of people, right?
Right.
Because if you have the best product, somebody's going to copy it and it'll be a price race to the bottom. So, because of that, we are now forced in our modern day of business to now all have offers. You have to have an offer, and an offer is so much more than just your
See,
one
break
product
that
or
down
service.
because I actually it took me a minute to understand. I'm still working on it, right? What is my offer, right? And so, because a lot of people think the offer is the thing you're selling,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's not.
It is
The,
not.
Yeah.
No,
And
an
so
offer.
it's distinction. Tell them the distinction in your mind.
Absolutely. I think, I teach again, I love frameworks. For those of you who haven't noticed
Mhm.
yet, I love frameworks. It'll help you remember. And it's something you guys can all write down if you're listening or watching. I teach an offer framework. I call it CSU, the University of Offers, CSU, right? Not Colorado State University, but but CSU. It stands for, you must have a core for your offer. You must have supporting pieces of your offer. I call them a supporting cast, right? And you must have urgency in your offer, because people need help. They need help to buy even things they want, things they've wanted for years. They still need a little help to push them over the edge. So
Mhm.
you've got to create real urgency. Don't create fake urgency. That's bad, right? Always be authentic, be true, sell good things. Don't be a bad person, right? But because it works, either
Mhm.
way, it works. But please be a good person.
With
So
great power comes great responsibility.
great. Yeah, exactly. My daughter said, "Oh yeah, that's a quote from Spider-Man." I said, "No, that was not Spider-Man. That was Henry Ford." But thank you very much. But that's okay. I guess Spider-Man can have the credit now. Um, but you got to have a
I didn't know
core.
where it came from, so you just schooled me right there. I thought it
There,
came from Spider-Man or Uncle Ben, right? So
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Uncle Ben, right? But you've got to have a solid offer, and your offer allows you to distinguish you from everybody else selling something. And notice the language here, something similar. Nobody else is selling what you're selling, because you're going to create an offer around what you're selling, not a product or a service that's just one thing. How many accountants are there in the world?
a lot.
Tons, and
Yeah,
they're more growing by the day. So how, as an accountant, do you separate yourself from all the other accountants? What do you do? How can you separate a commodity? Because doing somebody's accounting is a commodity.
right.
There's so many. I can search it in a half a second and get billions of choices. So how are you going to stand out? You're going to stand out by creating an offer. You're going to create the core of your offer that says, this is what's in my core of the offer, and then I'm going to add some things in it. Now, oftentimes, because of the age of funnels, you see those supporting cast as bonuses.
Right.
You don't have to do the language that way. That's just something that they found works. But the extras, that supporting cast, should be things that support the core. Now, the core should be able to say, hey, this is what I'm going to accomplish. This is the result I'm going to get for you. And we're going to do it a little crazy because we're a little unique. That's your unique sales proposition. And we're going to do it a little normal so that you can feel comfortable with us being close enough to being normal. And then here are these other things that support that. They support it because I know you're going to have questions. So we also threw this in. And I know you're going to get this result. So when you get this result, the next problem is this. And I'm going to throw this in. Right.
Right.
So you have other supporting casts that support your core offer.
So in that vein, for example, it's your account. You could do quarterly check-ins. You give audit protection. You could, build
Yeah,
a not, because accounting is basic. That is a commodity. So Dan Kennedy used to say, "Why should I choose you versus any in all choices I have, including doing whatever I'm doing now and doing nothing." Like, if you can't answer that, you don't really have a business.
exactly.
You're a commodity. I was talking to a realtor. I said, "Well, why? If there's like five realtors lined up against the wall, or we are talking about network marketing, five
Yeah,
network marketers for the same company, why should I work with you versus them?"
right. And a lot of people don't think of it in terms of an offer, but they should, because what you provide is probably pretty cool. I say now, this is kind of one of the things that I've been preaching lately, is that we are squarely out of the age of information. We have left the age of information. Information is a dime a dozen. It is now the commodity.
Right.
You can get it on AI, whether you can trust it or not, that's up to you. You can get it on Google. You can get it on YouTube. You can look up anything in the world and instantly have a step-by-step procedure to do it. Does that mean you're going to do it? No, actually, it's sort of made our society numb to the fact that information is so readily available, and numb because I can look up how to fix my washing machine and I can get 2,000 videos. I can spend 5 hours watching it and still not have enough knowledge to fix my washing machine, and I still need to call a professional. And that's just how it is. So the age of information maybe wasn't cut out to be what we thought it was going to be prior to the age of information. And it
Right.
was like, wow, this is cool. Now we look at it and they go, ah, that's so much information. Can't I just ask somebody that knows how to do it? And so now here we are back to maybe where we were in the early days, where you had a blacksmith. You went to the blacksmith because he had years of knowledge, and he was training an apprentice that he was passing that years of knowledge onto and giving years of knowledge. So now what are we looking for? We actually, what we all really want is insight. I
Mm-hmm.
want, Curtis, your expertise. I want
Mm-hmm.
your insight and experience about what you do. Your information I can get anywhere,
Right.
but I need you to come in and say, yeah, I know most people say this, but for you, you probably shouldn't do that because I've had this experience and I've had this knowledge and I have some insight about that thing. And man, that is powerful. So we are what I think now we are in squarely in the age of insight, and I'm not sure it's going to go away anytime soon, especially because of AI coming on board.
Right.
Now, your insight as an individual is more important than it's ever been.
And people don't view that as an asset. So,
Oh,
and so when you look at your number one asset is you, then what are the components of that? Mindset, skill set, that,
right,
network. Who do
right,
you know and who knows you? And I think as business owners, are you working at that? You
right,
know,
right,
because that is increasing your human life value will increase your revenue. The value that focusing on value creation and solving problems for others is the start. And then what happens is that now you get into your frameworks, because then number one investment's the business, but it can't grow beyond you. Like, Jim Rohn used to say, what do you say? You can't, a six is not going, or a five is not going to attract a nine. Like, you have to,
right,
success is something you attract by the person that you become. So you
right.
kind of have to work on both
Yeah,
at the same time.
at the same time.
And which is work. That's why most people work for other people, because they don't want to do that.
That's right. It's
But
easier. It's
it's
easier.
easier.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody, I was like, yeah, I want to be the person that writes signs the front of the check, not the back. So
I
I
love
work, and that's what I grew up, because that's my dad taught me, never making money, work for someone else. And my dad always signed the front of the check. So I was like, okay, that was that's why modeling is so important. I always tell
right,
people, everybody's an example. You're either a good one or a bad one.
right.
And so, for your kids, for your community, for, people watching you. So, man, there's so many, my head is exploding because there's so much stuff I want to ask you, but I'm going to be respectful of your time. And I want to make sure that we, because talk about your company. I think what you're doing with business choreography and just the investing in other businesses is fascinating.
Sure,
So give them a little bit of insight into that and your thought process going into
sure.
some of that.
One of my I call it one of my happy places is being able to get involved with other companies. It's one thing to have taught all of this business stuff for years. It's another thing to help businesses grow and scale, and we do that.
Hmm.
But one of my greatest joys is investing or acquiring other companies. Uh, in in some circumstances, we acquire if if all of the stars align, because acquisition is a huge undertaking. If I acquire, I have to have the team to run it. I have to now run it. I am now the one that is response able,
Hmm.
and I have to take it all in. That could actually impact my team, and it can impact what direction I'm going as a whole. And
Hmm.
so I have to be very mindful about acquiring, but it is really cool.
Hmm.
And you can do some really great things with it. It can really boost your passive income. It could really boost your net worth. Like there's some really great things you can do when you acquire if it fits your acquisition criteria. Then on the investing side, I can actually, and we do a lot more investing than we do acquiring, obviously. And that is because I can get into a business and I can bring my expertise and my insight and I can help them grow and scale. I can help them see the holes that they can't see. I can be a bit of a mentor that is vested in their success, and they can use something that a lot of business owners um, maybe don't understand that they have. For some reason, we all understand that we have equity in our house.
Mm-hmm.
We all get that. Like it's become a normal thing. Take out a home equity loan or use the equity in your house to pay for your kids to go to college. I'm not suggesting you do that, by the way, but I'm saying that we all seem to understand that we have equity in our houses.
Right.
But we also have equity in our business. And those that are really excelling in business, they've all realized that. They've all understood that they have equity that they've built up in their business and or will build up in their business, and that's the cool part. It's future equity,
Mm-hmm.
and they've used that equity to grow their business. And what a lot of people don't realize is that people like Jeff Bezos and Phil Knight of Nike, Jeff Bezos of Tesla, and I mean the list goes on and on and on, right? That's just to name a
You
few.
have Elon Musk of Tesla and
Yeah,
Jeff Bezos of
yeah,
Amazon. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. But most people don't realize that Jeff Bezos owns a very small portion of equity in Amazon, because he's used that as leverage to get the best knowledge, to get the best players in the game to come and help him grow that company. Now, does that mean that he gave away his voting rights? No. And that's really cool. You could actually keep all of your voting rights and give away some of your equity.
Hmm.
And so a lot of people don't realize that you, as a business owner, have equity in your business. And if you're willing to use that equity as collateral, you can go out and make deals with investors like me that say, hey, you know what? I need some help. I can't see the forest through the trees, which, I mean, honestly, as business owners, it's so easy to do. It's way harder for me to see my own business than it is for me to see your business because I don't have any emotional attachment to your business.
Yeah.
And so it's much easier for me to go in and see your holes in your bucket, figure out how to fill the holes, and give you your assignments to go fix them. And when you hear them, sometimes you go, "Oh wow, I didn't see that. I couldn't tell that that was an issue. I'm going to go get on that." And because you got your business to where you got to already, most of the time you can go in and bam, you're like, dang, I'm going to go do that. Which means that when I come into a company, most often I can really, really multiply your worth very quickly because I can go in, give you the things that you can't see, and you'll go, oh, I can do that. And that's what happens most often. Again,
That I just had somebody tell me that. I was in Spain last week, and I was on a cruise, and a friend of mine who does what I do, he did just that and helped this company grow their business from 2 million to 8 million in 18 months. And then the guy wanted to sell it, so he literally created. He said, "Look, I don't want any of the current company. I want it half. I want 50% of what I help you grow to."
right.
And didn't have any capital in the deal. And I was been trying. You just kind of broke down because I said, wait, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
Like you're saying that I don't have time to go here. We'll have to have another whole conversation on this because it's like, what? Because how do you? I never understood how you. Because there's a lot of people listening that have certain experiences that could, you could grow through acquisition
Sure.
and or but but if you're an I and you've got a certain level of experience, you can look for good B's to deploy maybe capital,
Right.
but it sounds like it's more intellectual
Sure.
capital.
Well, and I can do either, but I just because I have capital to invest doesn't mean I'm going to. And
Mhm.
and that's the part that people have a hard time understanding until you get into the situation where it's you looking for the help. You could pay me for my day rate over and over and over again if you'd like. I'm okay. If that's
Yeah.
what you want to do. Now let's see if we get you in on my calendar and we'll see what we can do. Or if it's a business that I feel like I can make a difference in, instead of paying me my day rate, why not actually come in and have me vested in your company? There's some real power in that.
That is fascinating. So I've doing another interview on this because, like, I always tell people the show is like free consulting with Curtis, right? Because all of a sudden it's like, how do I do that? And could I do that? And because I hate to say this, I'll be 61 in June, but so I've been in business a long time, and
Right,
I'll talk to people, and I was like, I don't realize how much I actually know. There's a lot of stuff rolling around in his head
right, right,
that that I'll say stuff that to me is like basic, like I
right.
thought was common knowledge, and they look at
Sure.
me like I gave them manna from heaven. I was like, well, wait, you don't know that? And
Yeah. No,
I haven't
and that's
known what to
huge.
do with that.
Yeah. And I think that when you're looking at your own business, this is the most difficult. And I feel for all of you listening if you're thinking, gosh, I have all this knowledge, but somehow it's not translating into my business. I've got myself to here,
Yeah.
but for some reason I can't seem to get there. But you get somebody from an outside eye, and I come in and I go, well, are you willing to hear? Are you willing to see? Because if you're willing to hear and see, I can show you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hardest part, when somebody comes in and says, I know you've been doing this, but if you want to get to that next $1 million mark or next $10 million mark, you're gonna have to do this. I once went into a company, and we grew them from about $1 million a year to about 10 million.
Wow.
Easy 10x. And it was, I say easy, but we had to look at what was going on in their guts of their company, and we had to change the fundamental organization of how they were operating from the bottom up. And that was a little painful, but the benefit on the other end was so great. And it was incredible. So you have to realize that sometimes if you've been stagnant or stuck for a little while, but you can see that there's benefit for what you do for the world, or who you're serving, and you're looking at it and you're going, I know this can do more than what it's doing. Or I can see there's like 5 other companies that are basically doing what I'm doing, but they're like $100 million companies, and I'm only a $3 million company. Okay, well, why are you stuck? Well, that's when you need some other eyes to come in. And most of the time, you could get some other eyes to come in, and you could get me to come in for a day, and I might be able to, in a day, be able to go through and pick and poke and tell you where the things are that are wrong. But wouldn't it be better to have me on board? Well, that's what Jeff Bezos thought when he started giving away equity to his company,
Hmm.
right? That's what Phil Knight thought when he
I
started
missed that.
giving equity.
It's like talking about like hidden in plain sight. I mean, I saw that because I think, and it's gonna know we think that way. Why? I interviewed one guy and he gave up control, and then they voted him out of his company. It's the same thing. So when you hear stuff like Steve Jobs, so you worry about that, but it's like, but you always stay small if you don't
Right.
grow because you want control, and because a lot of people are not in business. They're what is even Jeff Michael Gerber say? They had an entrepreneurial seizure, so they're
Well,
right. They're self-employed.
and nowadays you can write all that stuff into the agreements.
Mm-hmm.
Agreements. I love a good gentleman's handshake, but I've been screwed over on them, um,
Mm-hmm.
in major ways. And the agreements are there so that we can recall what we said verbally, and we have a roadmap of what was agreed upon, so we can go
Mm-hmm.
back and look at it again. And that's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's what the agreements are for. But nowadays, everyone's gotten smarter in it, because they've seen some of those big guys that got voted out of their company because they didn't put in the agreement that they couldn't get voted out of their company.
Right, right,
and
right,
and as scary, so some of our listeners might be thinking, well, that's scary, I don't want to do that, I don't want to lose control or lose my company. Well, then write it in.
right,
It's not, I mean, that's the cool part about an agreement.
right,
Somebody said to me, well, can we put that in the agreement? I said, why wouldn't we? Well, is that allowed? And I said, if we make it up, it's allowed. Like, we
right,
can,
right, right,
if you and I agree, and we can get it in a piece of language that is clear. Everybody complains about lawyer speak, and I say, well, but the lawyer speak helps you to ultra clarify what you said in regular conversation.
Right.
And if you don't ultra clarify it, then when it matters the most, that's when there's going to be contention. So you try to do it ahead of time in the agreement. That's it. And so I think agreements are really crucial because it helps you to clarify ahead of time what the deal is.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's doing a deal with you that it's all in their favor and not in yours, well, just walk away. There's plenty of us out there that will do deals with you that are win-win.
Right. Right. Dude, Michael, you are a bad man. I'm just like, I got like a page of notes over here on the side. You look at me writing, I'm writing stuff down. And so hint, y'all need to go back and listen to this again. And so when he draw that triangle out and draw that stuff
Absolutely.
out and think about it, how can they I see like two other shows, but how can they get in touch with you and who are you looking to help, right? And then how can they follow what you're doing? Tell them how to reach you or how you'd
Sure.
like to, how you
Sure.
can help them or whatever.
First and foremost, you can go over to bizchoreo.com. Obviously, we're playing on business choreography.
Mhm.
bizchoreo, like the cookie, and .com, and you can find out some more there. If you are looking to get some custom choreography for your business, I'm sure there's a link on the page there to apply for some custom choreography, and we'll see if we're a good fit. We only want to work with people we know we can help. So if we can't help you, we'll tell you. And if we know somebody that can help you, we will pass it on. We believe all boats rise in the tide, and it is important to us that if we aren't the people, that we will help you find the people. And like you can see, I have a great network of people like Curtis that we all kind of collaborate together because we all do believe money grows on trees, because it does.
Right.
It's green and it's paper.
Right.
And
Exactly.
if you live in America, they print it whenever they want. So, so when, so just realize that if you're interested, you want some custom choreography, you can look us up there. If you just have any questions, if you're looking to sell your business and you think you might be a good fit, or you're just interested in having us come in and invest in your business, or you're looking to sell outright and you think we might want to acquire, cool, let us know. We're always looking for education companies and SaaS. If those two are our primary, but also talk to us even if it's not one of those, because I mean, I have invested in some other stuff this year that wasn't in those categories because they were just so compelling. But also, I'm part of a great group of M&A investors. And so if you're looking to sell something and I am not the one, I'm going to see if I have anybody in my network that can get involved with you, because we're all a big family here. We're all the business owners that are crazy enough to take the risk to get out and do this. And I believe in you so much. And I believe that you guys can make your impact on the people that you're making impact for. And if you're ready to get some help, and or if you're ready to get out, then don't let what you've built die. There's no reason for that. There's probably somebody that can come in and pick it up and or adapt it or whatever and invest or acquire. So look us up. You can get to us on from that business choreography page. And if you're growing your business and you just want some help with the choreography, we do have some services for that. Periodically we do little master classes that help you do things like build a course or do things like that. And so we do have some of those types of things if you're
Mhm.
looking for just like front end work on the marketing choreography basics and or sales basics and or operations basics like we talked about today.
That's awesome. You reach out. I mean, you you got to get outside your own head. There's a lot of wisdom that we've shared in just this, 53 minutes we've been on the call, and we could go another hour, I'm sure,
Oh yeah,
And one of the things I want to hit before I let you go
sure.
is what we talk about is I just want to point this out when people are listening, because I always talk about the 3 rules of investing, right? And you just articulated through your process, right? Invest in you what you know,
Absolutely.
right? Or I say invest in knowing, okay, right?
Yeah.
Right. Uh, the second one is invest in what you can control,
Right.
right? What you like, so you're in, or what can you influence the outcome of, which
Right.
is what you're investing in, right?
Right.
And does it cash flow? You want to create cash flow. And then our third rule, Michael, is don't chase returns,
Right.
right? And so because success leaves clues. So, what I teach is principles-based planning. And so what you've got to be able to do is hear somebody, look at the principles. Michael has really clear money rules,
Right.
right? Or investing rules. And, if you look Ray Dalio book, all successful people operate with principles
Right.
and they don't change. And so it's fascinating because when I think I've been teaching that, but when I hear people like you, I see it, or, in your life. And I want people to see that he's just not out there winging it. He's got a whole choreography of
Right.
what they're doing, and
Right.
that. So I wanted to say that because that was the last thing I said. Where I was seeing, and I want people to see that success leaves clues, and y'all have to listen for them. Okay, and then say, okay, what of this stuff can I, to use we all come from framework, right? My framework is basketball, right? So what can I take from that to work on my game? Can I add this move to my arsenal? Can
Right.
I, we come from different backgrounds, both athletic, and and I think good people draw on their past. Like when I coach soccer, young girls, 11, 12, I say, look, most of you are not going to, I tell the parents, your door is not the second coming of Mia Hamm, and right, I hate to break it to you, right? But you can learn to win. You can learn to prepare to win. You can learn. I didn't care about winning. I care about them getting better every week. And
Right.
if you get better every week and you learn, the basics, pass, dribble, shoot, just like basketball, you will start winning.
Right.
If you make a pass, I'd rather you pass to where the person should be, because when you get to better players, they'll be where it's supposed to be, and you need to see the floor. And so to me, it's the same thought process in business. You got to get better. You got to get in better rooms. You got to get better coaches, and then that will grow your enterprise. So
Oh, so much. Yeah.
that's fun. This is good stuff. That's what's that guy on ESPN? That boy bad, right? So
I love that.
right. So anyway, Michael, thank you again. I got a feeling we might have one or two other conversations about this.
Absolutely.
It's this is a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on. I hope y'all got some out of this, because I have a page of notes, so y'all better act like you know. All
No
right.
doubt.
So thank you, Michael. Welcome and guys, thanks for listening to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. If you like this, please share it with somebody needs to hear this, and bless them with this knowledge. And y'all have a great day. Have a prosperous day. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Hi there, I'm Curtis May, and I'm here to help you achieve your financial goals. Do you want to be the customer bank, or would you like to be the bank? Subscribe to our channel for regular updates, valuable insights from experts in different fields. The name of the game, guys, is cash flow. Okay. You can't eat equity. And our goal is to help you build, we call it being a cash flownaire, which is passive income twice your expenses outside of Wall Street, where possible, right? It is quite possible. And so if you're interested in learning more about our services, here is what I challenge you to do, or I invite you to do, I won't say challenge, is to take our financial freedom quiz. See where you are, okay? Don't wait any longer to take control of your financial future. Let's begin this journey together.